Okay, well, you join me for this follow-up and my storage unit, and I thought I had more of these, but what happened was there was a guy in Australia who reached out to me and said, "Hey, I can fix these." This is years ago, and I had a bunch of these, and I sent maybe about 7 of them to him, and he fixed some of them, and then when I went to pay for delivery to get them sent back, they all of a sudden didn't work, and then I never heard from him ever again. But on the off chance it all went pear-shaped, I kept 2 or 3 units, and I'm really pleased I did because, well, these are actually very, very hard to find now. I used to find them in wrecked and blown up cars and stuff like that, but this is when these cars were more available. Anyway, so when I was a younger man, I rigged up this computer power supply. This is out of an old IBM, I believe, or Lenovo P4 rig, and it just goes to the harness here, so I could test these units, but I just plugged it in and the fan barely spins, and there's no life. So I'm going to go ahead and just assume that this power supply is dead, which is a shame because it's quite handy actually. This is a very dead unit that I pulled apart, which I'm now very much regretting, but sadly needed to do in order to figure out how this all goes together. So what I'm thinking of doing is actually trying to put this one back together, because I've got all the springs and screws and stuff, and just to see, yeah, if I can save another one, just because these are so hard to find. But I'm pretty sure I tore a ribbon cable somewhere on this, but I can't see where. Alrighty, well, I'm going to pack the stuff in the car, and then we've got 2 units. Oh, and this is the white writing as opposed to the gold that I've got on my other one. You can see no auxiliary port, but this one does, because I think, well, actually saying that, this faceplate is facelift, and it's got an auxiliary port, so yeah, I could be wrong. I thought they just dropped the auxiliary port altogether on the facelift, but I mean, both of these are Clarion. Yeah. Anyway, and I got lots of the cassette players. I got actually quite a few. Some are in various states. There's a pre-facelift unit, old XP disc, and of course I kept all the harnesses and stuff so I could make a power supply that works. I've had these for God knows how long, and I've actually even got, for a wagon, I was gifted this from a friend of mine, Pete, an actual CD changer that goes with this. So yeah. Right, pack this stuff up. Okay, so we join me back home. It turns out the power supply does work. It's just with the illumination being hardwired, I couldn't see anything on the units. So we're going to test both units here and both do the exact same thing as my car unit, which is attempting to read the disc. Second unit does exactly the same thing. So we're going to have, again, leaky capacitors. What I hope to achieve on these ones is that the laser diode itself isn't burnt out and that the capacitors can just be replaced and the laser lens cleaned a little bit, and hopefully it should just work. So the top screws, you need a really good screwdriver that you can push a lot of downward pressure on in order to break the seal, because these get really sort of fused together. Here's the model of this unit, which is a PF-2046U. All of them seem to have varying model numbers, I noticed, but all generally are the same. Again, just the 4 screws around the perimeter of the laser board mechanism component, separating it again from the power board. Pretty easy to take apart now that I know and have done a few of these. Hardest just been the faceplate. Put some fresh solder again on the connections, makes the desoldering process quite a bit easier. It melts a lot quicker, and man, it absolutely reeks of fish. It's quite disgusting. Even after cleaning the board with alcohol, I noticed the smell returns. But yeah, I didn't show the process of removing the old capacitors because there's mixed opinions on what's the best way to do that. I just use the cutting method because, well, that's the only option I have with the tools I've got available. I don't have a hot air station, but yeah, do with what you will there. I wouldn't mind some hot tweezers, and I like soldering iron tweezers. You can get both sides of the pads and heat it up and remove it that way. But yeah, this board, this one wasn't too bad. The next board I tried in the second CD player was really corroded. But again, fresh solder on the pads using the, what is it called? The rosin flux to help clean the pads up and move all the crap away. And yeah, cleaned it all down with IPA, alcohol, trying to clean that board up nice, ready for the new capacitors. Which, for my first time ever soldering surface mounts, actually went pretty well. I just tinned the bottom of the legs, put a bit of solder on each pad, and then just flowed it essentially on. It wasn't too bad. Putting the unit back together, was really easy, and this is my first unit that we're going to try out here, and we're going to see how it goes. So again, you just want to pop the board together, sandwich it, put a couple of screws in to ground it. The faceplate, of course, has to be very secure. And this is how I clean the lens. You can get through to it with a Q-tip. You just have to make sure your lens isn't cloudy underneath the glass. If it is, you're pretty much screwed. No way. And yes, that is my genuine reaction, because I have not seen one of these things work in at least a decade. And when they worked, well, it was, a struggle to read discs. Well, at least my old one did, which is the one that's probably long gone. Next job on the list is I made a adapter plug that went to a single speaker, so we can at least hear these things make some form of sound, which is kind of needed to test. Again, just a couple wires of plug, heat shrink, and I just soldered it, these wires directly to the positive and negative terminals on the speaker, and then just on the head unit, I think I selected like front right on one of the channels so we could hear the CD player actually work. So yes, at this point I was super stoked to have at least one working unit. So I worked on the second one, which was exactly the same story. I'm covering the lid because there are light sensors to detect when the disc is put in. But sadly, I believe the laser board on this one was just way too corroded. I'll show you a photo of it here, and you can see the top left of the screen, that black stuff. Under all of that, all the traces were eaten and the pads were effectively destroyed. So I took the board from my spares box, from that one I disassembled just here, and recapped that. And what do you know? After quite a bit of work and testing, it took a few tries, I managed to get this one actually working. Well, that pretty much wraps this one up. I think I'll take the dead one that's in my car currently out and use parts again from that donor unit, try and get the laser assembly working. At least now I have one working one for the car and a spare unit, which is a lot better than what I had before. So really just super stoked that this all worked out. And yeah, after almost 15 years, I have a working first gen legacy CD player for my car, and that's just huge. Alright guys, got there in the end. Thanks for watching, and yeah, catch you guys soon in the next one, likely for computer related content.